Hugo Chavez last cry, Diablo in the Vatican. The hubris of that he would die shortly after that outburst. Hugo Chavez was no stranger to calling out the force he believed controlled the world. He was fiery, unpredictable, unafraid to name names. But the story that lives on is the one where Hugo Chavez ran out of the Vatican with both hands in the air, screaming, Diablo, Diablo, Diablo is in there. That moment became symbolic. It wasn't just a man shouting in anger, it was a declaration that the seat of global religion was harboring the very thing it pretends to fight. People laughed it off, dismissed it as, theatrical, or claimed Chavez was unstable. A lot of people that day said he was unstable. Okay. But Chavez knew what he saw. He knew what he felt. He screamed with urgency. He wasn't whispering. He wasn't hiding behind coded language. He ran, shout at the top of his lungs that the Vatican was not holy ground, but the lair of the one who ruled the planet. Diablo, Diablo, Diablo. Chavez screamed. That wasn't for political gain. That wasn't for headline. That was a man shaken to his core, a man who believed he had looked into the machinery of the world, seen the face, the operator's face. And the operator, it wasn't Christ, it wasn't God, it was the opposite. When Chavez died shortly after, whispers grew. Some said he was poisoned. Some said he was cursed. Others said his outbursts at the Vatican sealed his fate. You know, a lot of people believe that when he did that little stunt, Diablo, 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 they knew it was lights out, you know. But the symbolism was too loud to ignore. A leader walks into the heart of Catholicism, come out screaming, the devil is in there, and then dies not long after. Coincidentally or hardly? Chavez had always fought against what he called imperialism, the invisible empire that controlled nations. He spoke against Washington, Wall Street, the oil cartel, the banker, but in Rome, he claimed he found the true headquarters, not in the boardroom, not in the Pentagon, not even in the White House, in the Vatican itself. The Vatican to Chavez wasn't a place of salvation, it was a place of worship, but not of God. He shouted that what they worshiped there was not holy, it was not divine, but diabolical. They are worshiping Diablo, 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 he cried. That was his accusation, that was his testimony. People forgot that Chavez was a soldier before he was a president. Soldiers are trained to recognize danger, to sense trap. Chavez wasn't naive. Chavez wasn't naive towards being dazzled by pomp of the Vatican. He was a hardened man who knew power when he saw it, and what he saw terrified him. What terrified him wasn't the painting, the gold or the marble. It wasn't the ritual or the incense. It was the present that radiated from inside. Chavez didn't see holiness. He saw control, cold, calculate. He called it by its true name, Diablo. Running out with his hand in the air wasn't a gesture of victory, it was desperation. It was surrender to the truth he could no longer deny. He didn't care who mocked him. He didn't care what press said. He cared what the world knew and what he saw. The devil sits on the throne of earth. Most the devil sits on earth, most revered temple. If true, this explains why the Vatican has always had influence beyond religion. while world leaders bow before the Pope, while global politics, global finance bend around a so called spiritual authority. Because behind the robes and the ritual lies the machinery Chavez warned about. Chavez called it out. He didn't mince words. He didn't hide behind vague hint. He said it plain. Diablo is in there. That wasn't a warning, and the system laughed at him and then buried him. It's no accident that Chavez's confrontation with the Vatican is largely buried in whispers and rumors. The system doesn't want people repeating his word. It doesn't want the image of a president running, screaming, pointing finger at Rome to be remembered, but it cannot be erased. What Chavez saw was not just for himself. He was he was warning was meant for everyone. He wanted the world to know that the Vatican wasn't a holy gate, but a power hub. That the Vatican wasn't where the world prays to God, but where the world bows to the devil. The Vatican denies, of course, it speaks of peace, of unity, of holiness. But Chavez's testimony cut through the facade. He said what others are too afraid to say. He said what others whispers in back room. He shouted in daylight. People, as you guys know, that every year all of the world leaders and stuff like that, they go ahead and they meet at the Vatican and stuff like that. And you have all these big business tycoons and stuff throughout the planet. And typically they wear all black and stuff like that. And you see they have little black things and stuff like that, and they go meet. But they have this big gathering behind closed door. And allegedly Chavez was invited. Chavez had finally got his invitation to meet, the holiness of the planet. So when Chavez went there, Chavez saw all these presidents, all these big tycoons, like you name it, like the who's who. Chavez saw all that there. And so in the center of that place in the Vatican, where they do it annually, something comes up in the middle of the room. And allegedly, according to Hugo Chavez, it was Diablo himself. And when it came out, allegedly, everyone that was in the room, they remember Chavez bust out Diablo. And they say, man, Chavez was like airborne, man. They said by the time you can count to five, Chavez bust win. He ran the hell out there, lightning fast, screaming and shouting, pushing through it. Like they said, Chavez just like bust through the door. There was like security guard. Chavez just pushed him out the way, like y'all better get the hell out the way. Diablo was in there, and then Chavez was running out of the Vatican with both hands in the air, screaming, Diablo's in there, Diablo, the real Diablo is in there. So Chavez was screaming like that. And then they said his security was trying to run after him, and other people security were trying to run at him because they wanted to shut him up. But they said Chavez made a scene that day, one for the books. And after he was gone, Chavez's death hangs like a question mark over his final warning. Was it natural, or was it the course of daring to expose the face of global machinery? Hugo Chavez cry echo louder now than when he first screamed it. Diablo. It wasn't the cry of a madman. It was the cry of a witness, a man who saw the devil, not in fairy tale, but in institution. So another thing about that Diablo stuff that Hugo Chavez saw, they said that Hugo Chavez, he wouldn't stop talking about it. Hugo Chavez left Rome immediately. Like Hugo Chavez was supposed to be leaving like 2 or 3 days later, whatever. But Hugo Chavez got on the flight like Hugo Chavez was when he ran the hell out of there. And rumor have it that Hugo Chavez left whatever clothes he came with. Hugo Chavez just wanted to get on the goddamn flight and get the hell out of Rome. Hugo Chavez like, get me the F out of this place. There is real Diablo in here with these people. These people really worship Diablo himself. Get me the hell out of here. And then They also say Hugo Chavez said everything about the global structure makes sense. These people are not praying to God. There's no Jesus in there. It's Diablo himself. The biggest lie they told the world was that he said people, Diablos in there. That's who they really pray to. So the Vatican remains untouchable, wrapped in ritual and ceremony, beyond accountability. But Chavez pierced that veil for a moment. He saw through the gold, the saint, the prayers. He saw the machinery behind the curtain, and he called it what it was. For those who listen, Hugo Chavez left a roadmap. Don't be blinded by appearance. Don't confuse ritual with holiness. Don't assume power wrapped in religion is divine. Look deeper. Look at the control, the manipulation, the empire, and name it for what it is. Hugo Chavez's last great cry wasn't about politics. It wasn't about oil. It wasn't about socialism versus capitalism. It was about truth. A truth so terrifying it made him run. A truth so undeniable he screamed it until his last breath. Diablo, Diablo, Diablo. That's the legacy of Hugo Chavez at the Vatican, a man who saw the devil where the world saw God, a man who dared to shout it out, no matter the cost, a man whose final act was to expose the machinery that ruled the planet and called it by its name. So that is what Hugo Chavez did. The only reason, sometime, and I have to be honest with you guys, this story was told to me about what Hugo Chavez did allegedly at the Vatican. And there's not a day go by that I don't think about it on this planet. No matter what I'm doing, I always go back to it. I'm like, damn. Even it's like for a split second, if I'm like, damn, I'll just laugh because it was just so hilarious when I heard it. And when this was told to me, is because we were talking about spirituality. We was talking about elementals. Um, we were talking about elemental frequency, vibration. We was talking about all kind of entities and stuff. And the person just happened to say, "Hey, here's something." And the person said, "A lot of people are saying that this is the root cause of Hugo Chavez's death." So keep in mind, allegedly, this is for entertainment purpose, but this is just something I heard. But I'm gonna put it allegedly for my own protection, and I'm gonna throw entertainment purpose on this too. Okay, so the person was like, Hugo Chavez went to the Vatican every year. All of the top world leaders go over there, regardless of their religion. They go to the Vatican, right? And then also the tycoons of tycoon when it comes to business and finance and stuff like that. They go to the Vatican, right? And then the killer machineries of the planet, they go to the Vatican, right? They have one big get together for all these people. And this is not done in the opening. It's never done opening. It's done behind closed door. But you do see like there was thing you see the first part of it, like when you see females dressed in all black, have a black veil on, and you see the males dressed in all black too, and stuff like that, and tuxedos and stuff like that. We do see that part. But they were saying behind that part is the real meat, the ruler of this planet, if you know what I'm saying, the real ruler of this place we live in, the ruler of this planet. And so Hugo Chavez made it through the first part of the ceremony, which is like the music, the singing, the incense, the Mother Maria and all this good stuff, and the praying, the rosary stuff like that. And then after that, here's the second part of it, where you would meet the ruler of this planet. Okay. And so Chavez makes it into the room. Keep in mind, this is big opening in the middle of the floor. They haven't brought the entity up yet to display it to everyone in that room yet. So Chavez is sitting back, he's comfortable. He just had a good time. He did his little prayer. They had the little rituals with little, anybody ever been to Catholic church, this incense, right? So, Catholic church is frankincense, myrrh, they burn frankincense and myrrh. And then you have your cross, you have your rosary, you have your holy water and stuff like that. You got your prayers got to certain prayers that's got to be said, and a certain amount of Hail Marys and stuff like that. It's got to be said, okay, depending on what it is, and certain prayer for certain things, okay. So Chavez just did the Catholic ritual, far as religious wise. Okay, so he's back there with everybody, just sitting back, cool, calm, and cool and collect. But keep in mind, this is the first time Chavez is being invited. Now, Chavez had never been invited to this, okay? But this is the very first time that Chavez being invited. So Chavez is over the moon. Chavez cannot wait. So Chavez did part one. He's thrilled. So Chavez waiting for part two. So Chavez sitting there all calm and cool and collect. And so once everybody get in that particular room, and then of course, along with all um, the leaders throughout the planet, the ones that were invited at top of the food chain, or all the ones that were worthy to be invited there. The next level is all of the business tycoon that's worthy in finance and business that were worthy to be invited there, of course. And then all, of course, the killing machinery of this planet, all the warlike ones that were invited there. And of course, you've got to have witness, right? You got to have little minions. So some of the minions, I call them minions, like regular people that's not special, but that's there because they know about this and they come to feed, feed it energy, whatever, or do like, it's like everything. Like even that ceremony use low level people too. It's weird how life is, you know. And so they're there, and these would be like the most zealous ones, the hard ones, from all the little regions of the earth that be invited. So they were invited. So once the door closed, and then this, like I said, in the center, it starts to come up. Once the door is closed and it's coming up like zzz, it comes up. Once it come up, Chavez takes a look. What Chavez see is Diablo. Allegedly he see Diablo himself in there. Chavez screamed on top of his lung, Diablo, Diablo, Diablo. I don't think Chavez spent 5 seconds in this. Chavez broke wind when he saw it. He's like, what the? I was like, what the fuck? What the? So Chavez broke air. Chavez was like, huh? What? And Chavez took off running. And Chavez ran, and they were like, for the minute he saw it, Chavez started screaming, Diablo, Diablo. They said Chavez came up. Chavez had a disease called Diablo, screaming, Diablo in there pointing and running far away from the Vatican. That they said, Captain, bust that door open. Keep in mind, there were people that were not even invited walking the hallway who know what they saw. I'm sure a few of them were like, yes, Diablo's in there. They had one woman say, oh shit, Diablo is in there. She bucked when they said that a few people, because keep in mind, Chavez just bust the door open, right? And this is supposed to be a closed room. He just bust the damn door open. And so, you have some of the ones, that came around, they were already outside. One know some of them was already outside, curious what they were doing in there. And they said one lady took a look and said, "Oh shit, Diablo is in there." They said that what? They said that. They said that old white lady ran on a bad leg. They said she ran so fast on a bad leg. Because they said it was funny, but they said what just Chavez screaming Diablo there. Diablo. They said it was so hilarious. They had this old white lady. Oh jeez. Oh, they said that woman was old. She wasn't even young. They said that old white lady ran on a bad leg. They said she ran on a bad leg. They said, you ever seen somebody? They said that lady was running on one leg, hopping another. No, and they said she was old. Shit, he's right. He's in there. That's your lead. Oh, white girl say he's right. Diablo is in there. Oh shit! But only funny part is that Chavez got to make it out of Rome alive. The white lady that was screaming, he is in there somehow. She got ran over magically. So she was dead as a doorknob. When she confirmed what he said is true, she was dead as a damn doorknob. And allegedly, she was dead as a doorknob because she did see what he was saying. So he made it out there alive, but as we know, he was dead shortly, like rapid sunset. He was dead like fast. Like, I think, damn, he was dead so fast. Even funny after the little episode because they said that's all he was talking about on the flight going back. And then when he went back to Venezuela, when he got off the flight, he's like, everybody, you see wrong? Diablo living there. Those people are worshiping Diablo. That place, and he said, and he started name dropping all the people that was in there worshiping Diablo. Diablo was in there, and then they said he wouldn't stop, but Chavez was dead. Ooh, his door. I don't think he. I think he was so dead. I don't think he lived 3 days after he did the little episode. Allegedly. I don't think that man got to live 3 days on the planet after that little episode happened to him over there. That man was dead as a doorknob. Ooh, yeah, but that was all like I wouldn't say every day. I would say like I think about it suddenly. Something that never left my mind because I was like, I'm like, did he really see Diablo in there? But I'm like, for him to be killed like within 3 days, I know he definitely did see something in there, and I was like, did he see Diablo in there? That's the question, you know. Um, but it is something that is known. The thing is, it never died, because he threw such a stink bomb over there. I mean, goodness gracious, it was like he threw a stink bomb in the middle of Vatican. The way he acted, he made a scene. When I mean Chavez made a scene, old boy Chavez made a scene before he left this planet. And old boy Chavez said, Diablo, Diablo, Diablo is in the vat. That's who these people are praying to. He wanted to know why everything was so evil on his planet. He got the answer. Diablo. Diablo is in there. And also Chavez allegedly, for entertainment purpose, people, Chavez said that this is why the world is so wicked. The people worship Diablo. Diablo is ruling the planet. Diablo is what's causing all this problem. So yeah, so that's that Hugo Chavez, that Diablo in the Vatican, his last cry. Whoo, he died like oh man. Chavez was dead like I think Chavez was dead 3 days later at best, or if not sooner. But that's something I like. That's something that's still whispered. It didn't go anywhere. It still lingered on. It's still lingering on. It can't be erased because people are like, did he really see Diablo in there? Were these people really in there praying to Diablo himself? Were these kings and queens and presidents and all of these finance tycoons and business tycoons? And were the war machine, the warlocks, were they in there? And they said that there was no religion because they said they had some like I said, there was these people, they're not Catholic that was in there. So it was like, what in the fudge? So they definitely came in there allegedly to meet Diablo himself. Allegedly for entertainment purpose. Let me stop right here. I'm gonna stop right here because this story right here, ooh-wee, one for the books. Okay. So my name is Manushka Jessica, host of Luco T Podcast. Please subscribe and like. Okay. Leave a comment. But that's one of my most fondest story about Hugo Chavez that that yeah, yeah. Yep. He went back to the light. From the light he came, from the light he went back. But I believe he saw something in there. Allegedly, he saw Diablo himself. Allegedly. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe.